Hey folks, this is Echo. Welcome to Horde Base Breakdown. This is a series where I show you a base and teach you all of its features, and then either give you a build guide or show you some design tips, toss a horde at it, and then judge it. In this episode, we'll be looking at my steampunk-inspired base called the Sentinel. Alright folks, so the Sentinel started out as just an idea in my head. I sketched it out on a quick sheet of paper. I knew I wanted to have this arrow shape, I knew I wanted a ladder base, and I knew I wanted to use blade traps, and that was about it. So rather than doing too much planning, I honestly just fired up a YouTube stream and started building. So if you're interested in seeing kind of the long drawn out process of how these large bases come together, I'll go ahead and link those streams up above and drop them down in the description. Also, if you want to see future live streams of me building huge bases like this, click on that subscribe button down below and that'll keep you apprised of when I'm doing this next time. So here's the aerial view. I wanted you to see this so you understood how it all ties together. There's the paths right and left there where it splits up at the top when you come up to the top of the ladders. And then from the side perspective, here's the fighting position and the little farm on the top. So with that overview perspective, let's go downstairs and start the tour. When I'm showcasing a base, the first thing I like to do is to show the path that the zombies are going to traverse so that you understand how the base functions. So at its core, this is a ladder base, and the concept here is to control the flow of the zombies in a specific fashion. So once the zombies get up to the top here, they're going to be forced either left or right depending upon which vault door you have open from the primary fighting position. This allows you to close a lane to repair or switch if you need to. Now, as they're coming up here, there's going to be multiple fighting positions. There's one at the bottom. There's one here that's switchable. You can close those doors if you want to. And then there's a fighting position up above. So we're going to follow one of the pathways, and the zombies are going to tread along here, and they're going to hit all these blade traps as they go, and they're going to try to stay on, and they will fall off occasionally. And if so, they will just cycle back up. There's a ladder on the side there, as well as on the back. We'll show you those in a second. Then they will traverse across these two blade traps here. They will head over here to your fighting position. Now here, there are also additional places where you can fight. You can fight from a melee perspective there or shooting. You have a shooting position over here to the side. And then you have another position up here for shooting. And it has this side plank that you can walk out on. And the goal of that is to provide a place where you can go and repair the blade traps from above. Additionally, it's an amazing spot to throw grenades, and I'll show you a little bit about that in a second. But as we move forward here, this is the vault door that I mentioned before. So if this is turned on, that'll flip up, and the zombies will view this as a valid path. There are two electric fences that go across here that are repairable from the inside of the base, and we'll show you that once we get inside. But the idea is you'll knock the zombies off, and there are sloped walls on both sides that are going to force them to the center. So the zombie falls off, they hit this wall, it slides them to here. Once it hits this point, behind here, there's a motion sensor that will sense them, that will trigger these two dart traps to shoot. Now these are 3D truss blocks, so the darts can shoot through those without a problem. I left this side open here just in case the zombies are pathing from this direction. It gives them an easier path to get to the ladders. So as they're coming back through here, they're going to hit this electric fence, pause, and get pummeled by that dart trap even more. And then here they'll hit it again. Then you'll see on this side we have another wall of ladders for them to get back up. So lots of redundancy in terms of letting them get to the top of the base. Now all these electric fences, I gotta turn my HUD back on for a second so I can open these, are accessible through here for repair. So that's where we have these set up. I'm going to turn my HUD back off here so that you can get more viewable screen area. So you've got it routes across here, from there to here, and then from here back to here. So that gives you quite a lot of coverage and a lot of space to drop grenades while the zombies are sitting down here shocked. Now, one other thing that I'll point out while I'm down here is I carved a path underneath the base so that if someone is coming from this direction, the zombies start coming in here, they can path along here and still have a direct path to get to these ladders. So that's in terms of the pathing. We're going to walk through the base. As we come back through here, I'll just briefly mention this. So I've just got a couple lights up there. I put a solar array under here, and I'm using the good old air duct trick. And if you don't know that, I'll put a link up to a video that talks about blocks that light can pass through that you can go reference. So that is just simply there. It's overkill, but it powers the two lights at the top, so I don't have to worry about running power from the main base. Now on the exterior of this, I did put two ladders on the side, just in case you fall off during Horde Night, you need to get back in. You can come in through here. So now that we're in here, we'll start the actual tour of the base. So this is where we parked earlier. On each of the sides, you have solar arrays. So there's two solar arrays and two battery banks. And you'll notice throughout the base, you'll see this red and yellow coloring. The red is for trap power. The yellow is for lighting power. And I separate those out so that I know how much power is on each circuit. So additionally, I've got this switch going to the downstairs that's controlling the dart traps as well as the electrical fences down there. They're in general set to come on at night all the time, but then they can be turned off. So if you're looting after Horde Night, you can turn those off and not worry about getting shocked. So likewise, on the opposite side here, you have the exact same layout, exact same switches as there. So through this door here is the first of the fighting positions on the bottom that we mentioned before. We've got a couple spotlights to illuminate the ladders going up. And here's an easy spot where you can huck grenades down as the zombies are trying to make their way up. And you've got a little bit of protection. Now, the nice thing in my initial testing with this, this worked pretty well because the zombies didn't want to turn around and shoot you. So you were pretty protected on this one. So that is the first fighting position. There are two ladders going up, one here and one here, and they go all the way up to the top. So you have the same pathway all the way. Right. So this is the second floor. I put this in here as just an interesting plot piece, like a energy orb or something like that, powering the base, just like the design. And then here on the side here, we have got a position where you can line straight up and shoot the zombies as they're pathing here. Also, you just have a great view all the way across with some decent protection. Also, you can see the backside. Ooh, I missed some painting. We'll have to get that. These are those kind of teeth that you see along the backside of the base, and then just added some piping throughout here for additional aesthetics. And then this is mirrored on the other side. So same thing over here. And then at the end of the room, this is the primary fighting area down here. So you've got a series of switches. And again, I like to highlight things so I know what I'm looking at. So the green was the indicator of switching the path on. So if I hit the switch, it's going to pull that vault door up and make this path active. Likewise, this one is going to have the traps for this side. So if I turn this on, you'll hear the whirl of the blade traps kicking in outside. So we'll turn those off so we just don't have it in the background for right now. Close that up. We'll go ahead and leave that one turned open. And then there are the electric fences that go across here, have access through these vault doors to be able to repair them. So one over there, and this is the repair side actually. So we keep those closed during Horde Night because if you're fighting on the opposite side, you don't want cop spit to come through the door over here and do damage to your stuff on the other side. So this is all an exact duplicate of what you saw on the other side. We also have these three vault doors. Now you're not going to want to have these open most of the time because you're going to get hit with cop spit. You can hit a grenade through here if your accuracy is good and leave it in that little, there we go, in that little crevice. We'll show you on the next level how that's much easier to hit. But then if you want to give yourself some protection, you just reach up, flip that lever down, and those close. So that's the fighting positions on this level. We're going to go up one more level. So this is our crafting area, and here, pretty common crafting setup. If you've seen any of my bases, I tend to like this setup with 2 forges, 2 cement mixers, and then a campfire here. And I haven't labeled all the boxes yet, but I'll use a pretty standard configuration that I do there. Workbench, chem station, and then on each of the sides here, we've got small little rooftop gardens. So again, I use some of those blocks up here that light is allowed to pass through to allow these to be able to grow while having a roof. So same thing duplicated here on the other side. And then we have the final set of fighting positions up here. So this is the spot that if you're looking down from here, very easy to just huck grenades right into that pit. Makes it nice when the zombies are coming up. Easily pop that and catch a handful of them. You also, I mentioned these electric fences on the side before, so they're going to pile up right there, right down at that spot right there on those electric fences. So very easy to huck grenades down there and be able to take them out as they pile up. You can also sit from here and easily shoot as they're coming across the path. Now, additionally, what this railing serves is the ability to pull out your nail gun and come along the side here and repair these during Horde Night. So you can easily get to all these blade traps during Horde Night. You are going to take some fire while you're up here, but you do have access across these trusses to be able to get in and out of the base. Just got to be a little bit careful. And so that is the layout of the base. And you can see I've got cables hidden in the walls in various spots. And again, I use that yellow and red indication throughout the base so that if I have to come back through here and do repairs, I know what's heading out there to the blade traps in the red and the lights going to the yellow. So the last thing we have to show off here is the rooftop. I find it useful to always have a place to land a gyrocopter because as you get towards the late game stage, you're going to want to get to places as fast as possible. So this gives us a takeoff and landing spot so you can land on one side and fly out the other. Additionally, you'll notice that the rooftop here is warped a little bit. That is done because it allows me to use plates and then plate ramps. And then the last aspect of the roof that I'll point out are these copper spires that we have around the corners, and that makes the base easy to see from a distance as well as just giving it some extra aesthetics. So starting with the design elements of this base, we're going to talk about these teeth that we have on the side of the base. And this design is fairly simple. Essentially, you've got an hourglass here starting at the bottom with the yellow wedge narrow high corner. And that sandwiches the blue, which is wedge narrow middle corner. The red lines in the back are security grate centered diagonal. And then the green corners peeking out are simply ramps. In the top right, you can also see the rear perspective. Next, let's take a look at the scaffolding, which was one of the key aesthetics of this base. So here's a cut looking from the right side of the base. Starting with the most common block here in yellow is the metal trussing 3D block. Next is the connector block that's in that grate texture. This is a pillar 1M 6-way, and yes, that is how it is spelled in game. The blade traps are connected to the pink blocks called wedge tip full, and the half sphere on the top left in blue is a pillar 1M cap. Finally, let's talk through all the different types of pipes here. In red, we have a pipe flange. In green, we have a pillar 0.5M. And then in purple, we have a pipe T-joint. And finally, the orange elbow piece is a pipe corner. So those are all the parts in the scaffolding, and here's the view real quick to see it once we revert back to the normal color. Next, I want to talk about the sloped walls that we have in the fighting position. These are some of my favorite blocks because they have so much versatility, but starting from the bottom in blue, we've got the wedge narrow high, then in yellow, the wedge narrow middle, in green, the wedge narrow low, and finally at the top, the wedge narrow tip in red. So this is a format I'm going to use on future bases because it did two things. For one, it pushed all the zombies into one lane at the bottom where the dart traps could hit them. And then two, it also gave you a barrier. So it was 2 blocks in between the actual structural foundation. The last design bit I'll show off is this floating sphere, and this one's pretty straightforward, consisting of 4 pieces. Starting in red, we have the pipe flange. Then on top of the bottom pipe flange in white, we have the pillar 0.5M plate. This is the block that gives the illusion of that sphere actually floating because it counts as a full block. On top of that, in that metallic silver, we have a 1M sphere. And then finally, the 2 yellow blocks are just simple cones. Put it all together and you get this cool futuristic effect. So those are all the design elements we're going to cover today. If you're curious on a closer look, you can check out this base and download it via my Patreon. Let's jump into the Horde Night and test this thing out. So while I'm hopping myself up on meds, I'll talk a little bit about the settings here. So I have set myself to max level, but I've only used 100 out of the 300 points allotted. And of those 100, a lot of those went into building style perks. Per my standard base testing tradition, I've gone ahead and set the difficulty to insane. Zombies are set to 64. All the run speeds are set to nightmare. And finally, game stage will be at 720, which is the max you can take it to. So with that out of the way, we're 10 minutes into Horde Night. It looks like the zombies are faithfully pathing in the direction I would like them to. Now we'll just have to see how it holds together once the cops and demos show up. So the one other setting I forgot to mention is that I only gave myself right around 1,000 rounds of ammunition. That's why you'll see me switching back and forth to melee from time to time. Oop, here comes our first demo in. Make sure we pop him in the face. 1, 2, and 3. Down you go, buddy. So far, the pace of this is fairly manageable. I think that the blade traps are starting to do, a little bit of softening them up before they get here. I do have rad remover on all my items because pretty much so at this game stage, if you don't have rad removers, nothing's going to work. I am hearing some dogs below, which is a concern for a ladder base, but we'll deal with them at the end of Horde Night, and hopefully they don't chew through things. Let's go ahead and switch lanes here. See if we can make sure that they pivot to the other side. Oh, and look at that gorgeous pathing. They immediately picked up the new active path and have pivoted over. If you watch other Horde bases that I've built, you'll see this is a very common feature that I like to build in. This gives you some redundancy as well as giving you the ability to repair one side as you flip to the other. And man, I am hearing a bunch of folks outside. Let's see if we can go check upstairs and get a bird's eye view of what's going on outside. Ideally, this base would operate best with multiple players, because you could have someone just sitting up here and, oh, look at those folks down there. Burn, baby, burn. So yeah, you could have someone up here just hucking grenades down while you got your melee person defending things at the doorway. The only problem up here is that you're really exposed, but it is hella fun. Oh, damn. Did that cop spit just break my leg? It's at this moment, folks, that I've realized I don't have casts or health bars or anything to deal with that. So we're just going to have to deal with a broken leg for the rest of Horde Night. Let's go ahead and make our way back down to the door because we don't want to leave it unattended for too long. The electrical fences will help, but quite honestly, without someone here defending, they will bust right on through there. Thank you, Mr. Copper, for taking a few folks out there. Good Lord, the number of cops here are insane. And another one. All right, this side has taken a beating. I think it's getting about time to switch. Let's go ahead and flip, dump all those gents down, and we'll flip over to the other side. They have pivoted pretty fast, so we're just going to leave a grenade here in the scaffolding plate. See if we can take care of some of them. There we go. Whew, 19 health is not where I want to be, so let's go ahead and slurp down some meds here, reload the guns, and go back to town. Let's go ahead and speed things up here. We got a little rinse and repeat situation where we just got them cycling through and we're thinning them out. So far, we've taken one demo on this side and a handful of cops have blown up over here. So we probably need to think about getting some repairs in real quick. There we go. Oh man, that bottom block was in pretty rough shape. Sides look okay. Overall, holding up pretty well. In an ideal scenario, you'd have your teammate repairing the other side. Oh God, there goes another cop. But for right now, it's just me, so we'll repair as we can. Oh, and another. All right, we should think about pivoting here pretty soon back to the other side. All right, let's close this lane down, dump them, and go switch to... Oh, shit. Nope, we're not switching. The other side must have got taken off. I forgot to close the shutters on the other side. Well, even if we can't switch lanes, we can dump them. Let's go ahead and hit this. Watch them fall. So that's one of the other nice features of this. Just to give yourself a reprieve, you can always tap that, drop the load that are there, pull back and heal for a second. And here you can see how they just hit the side and slide down to the center. The dart trap continues to just soften them up. So between the dart traps, the electric fence, and the blade traps, which are largely out of commission now, there's a lot less work to do by the time they make it to you. So interesting observation here, the blade traps aren't actually functioning, but they haven't fully destroyed any of them yet. Ideally, in a multiplayer situation, you'd have someone up on that top walkway that can get up and do repairs, but it's been all I can do to just run back and forth and hold them off here. So other than a broken leg, I came out of this Horde Night pretty unscathed. So let's just huck a few grenades down here, hope it murders the dogs, and then get into the numbers. And first off, I'm going to admit, this might be some of the highest ranking numbers you'll see out of any base that I judge. So the first and foremost important thing is survivability, and I'm going to flat out give this one a 10 out of 10. The fact that I came out of this with only a broken leg, down, buddy, is pretty phenomenal, and that's running this base solo. Next up, let's talk about the fun factor of this. I'm going to go pretty high on this one as well. We're going to go 9 out of 10. There are a lot of different things to do, movement, different places to attack from. You've got switches to control the lanes. There's just a lot of interesting mechanics to work with on the base. So now that we've walked around a little bit here, let's talk about maintenance. This is always a hard one when you're talking about, a max game stage Horde and how much damage they actually did. There's not a ton of damage. The repairs here would not be obnoxious. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for maintenance. All right, next let's talk about expandability. I can't say that there's a lot that I'd want to expand on this one, but you could easily continue to go up. So for that reason, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 with the assumption that I probably wouldn't grow this one much more. For the last ranking we have to dole out here is for multiplayer support, and no question whatsoever, this is a 10 out of 10. I would love to fight a Horde here with multiplayer, and if you want to see that, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'll do that as a follow-on video. Grab a few other content creators and go at it on this one. So folks, I hope you have enjoyed the Sentinel. Hey folks, it's Echo here. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Horde Base Breakdown. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed it. But otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my patrons over here who get access to this base as a download. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, folks. Cheers.